So today I am going to explain, if the students have any confusion, that what is a sporophyte and what is a gametophyte in case of plants. Okay, sporophyte and gametophyte. That what are these two stages of life cycle in plants? So students, you have to understand it first that there is a fundamental difference between life cycle of animals and life cycle of plants. That fundamental difference lies in the type of meiosis. Okay, so in animals there are no spores. Understand the point? In animals there are no spores. Animals form gametes. Gametes fuse. Fertilization results in zygote formation. Zygote forms an embryo. Embryo forms a new animal, and new animals again form the gametes. So this is the life cycle of animals. But in case of plants, the life cycle is not completed in this way. The meiosis is different because meiosis is a very important event in the life cycle of sexually reproducing organisms. In case of plants, meiosis is not occurring for gamete formation. Meiosis is occurring for spore formation. You have to understand this. This plant, sporophyte, is a diploid. This plant, gametophyte, is a haploid. Okay, so sporophyte will undergo meiosis. This will result in spore formation, which will be haploid, obviously, because they have been formed as a result of meiosis. These spores will germinate to form gametophyte. Okay, the gametophyte will form gametes, which will be haploid. Obviously, haploid gametophyte, haploid gametes, no need of meiosis. Fusion of gametes, that is, okay, fertilization, that will result in zygote formation again, which is diploid. Zygote to embryo, and then embryo to again sporophyte. This is the life cycle of a plant. If you can understand this, okay, this is the life cycle of a plant. So if you can clearly see what I am trying to tell you, this you have to keep in mind, that meiosis in plants is going to take place for spore formation. So plants have two alternate phases in their life cycle. Two alternate phases, sporophyte and gametophyte, which alternate with each other for completion of life cycle. Okay, so bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperms and angiosperms, all of them, they have these two stages in their life cycle, sporophyte and gametophyte. Now you have to understand, in case of each type of plant, from bryophyta to angiosperm, in case of each type of these plants, the function of the gametophyte is to form gametes. The function of the sporophyte is to form spores. The only difference in some cases is that, are all the spores of one kind or are the spores of two different kinds, megaspores and microspores. Okay, so if it is of the same kind, we call it homosporous. If it is of two different kinds, you call it as heterosporous. If it is homosporous, it is one gametophyte. The same gametophyte will form male gametes and female gametes. If it is heterosporous, then homosporous is different, heterosporous is different. If it is heterosporous, then the microspores will germinate to form a gametophyte, which will form the male gametes only. You call it as male gametophyte. Megaspores will germinate to form a gametophyte which forms female gametes only. So you call it as a female gametophyte. So this is the difference in case of a few pteridophytes and all gymnosperms and angiosperms. They are heterosporous. Bryophytes are homosporous. Most of the pteridophytes are homosporous. Okay. So in case of the Bryophyta, the dominant plant is the gametophyte. In case of the Bryophyta, the dominant plant is the gametophyte. Dominant plant means the plants which you see, which catches your eye, which is visible to you. That is dominant plant, which is the dominant stage of these two. So this is to be understood that in Bryophyta, gametophyte is dominant, sporophyte is parasite on it. In case of pteridophyta, gymnosperms and angiosperms, this stage becomes important, this stage becomes dominant, and this stage goes on becoming smaller and smaller. It will not go away, because if it goes away, the life cycle is not completed. It will become smaller and smaller. In case of pteridophytes, it is there in the soil, but it is very small. In case of gymnosperms and angiosperms, this stage is not in the soil. Okay, this stage is not in the soil. This stage is just represented by a few stages, because gametes are to be formed by a gametophyte. Gametes cannot be formed in any other way. So now, before going through the part 2 of the plant kingdom video, if you have any confusion about the sporophyte and gametophyte, do watch this video and then again go to that part 2 of the plant kingdom video. So this is important, that you must understand that what sporophyte and gametophyte means and what is their role in the life cycle of a plant. Okay, so all the plants which you see around you, they are mostly angiosperms, and you must understand that they are the sporophytes. Okay, because they are dominant. Now the sporophyte has a function to form the spores by meiosis. All of you have done this thing. You know that if you are a +2 student or a +2 pass out, then you have done this in your first chapter of biology. If you are a 11th class student, then you will do it in the next year, and you probably might have done it in your previous classes to some extent. You know what are pollen sacs, what are pollen grains. So pollen grains are spores. So flower, this plant in case of angiosperms has flowers, and flowers have some parts which undergo meiosis to form spores. Those spores will form gametophytes, which will not be in the soil, which will not be growing in the soil. These stages will be represented by a few structures, and then gametes will be there, zygote will be there. Okay, so maybe some plants form seeds, like gymnosperms, angiosperms, they form seeds. Pteridophytes do not form seeds, but this life cycle is to be followed by all. Bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperms and angiosperms. You must understand that if it is a sporophyte, it will somehow undergo meiosis, form spores. If it is a gametophyte, it will form gametes. Okay, so these two stages have to alternate with each other to complete the life cycle. This is to be understood. I hope this is clear now, and watch this, understand this, then go through the part 2 of the video again. If you have not understood previously, now you can go through that video again.